Hi everyone, Mark Merrill with Firm. Well, the Democrats have a real spending problem, and it's nasty. Seems to us here at Firm, ladies and gentlemen, specifically Maine citizens of the voting age and above, the Democrats around the entire country are nothing more than con artists in political suits and ties, or pantsuits for women from the Hillary Clinton era, if you don't mind, and just keep playing the same old smoke and mirrors game, or deflect and deny, as we call it around here. Typical mind game. Or maybe you should make that plural. Constant mind games. When it comes to making vitally important decisions or pass bills to become law on defense funding, farming supplement laws, support funding for school districts, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. With no action. Recently on Firm, we interviewed Maine House GOP leader Billy Bob Falkingham in Augusta on a quite timely issue of passing or getting through a veto on the $1 million of spending through a people's veto question to Maine people. But, of course, like everything else, gets kicked around like a dirty old rag by these Democrat leaders and Janet Mills department heads. Well, here's Mr. Falkingham to explain what's going on, if anything.
Yeah, so the people's veto is a good example of Shanna Bellows and her electioneering. Some people went over, turned in the signatures to veto it. If it were to be vetoed, it would just be a veto of a legislative bill, which happens to be a budget bill. So the question on that should say that, something in regards to that. But Secretary of State, the good Secretary of State, Shanna Bellows, has decided instead to use electioneering tactics in the question. And you should read this question. It's crazy how she's written it. It says, would you vote to basically defund schools and defund hospitals and defund, all this stuff? And that's not what would happen if you signed a signature on that. What would happen would be that particular bill would get vetoed, and we would have to work together like we're supposed to, and come up with another 2/3, or come up with an actual 2/3 budget.
Totally out of context, basically.
So yeah, and the thing is, there would still be time after the 90 days is up, plenty of time that we could pass another bill that funded the government. But this is the thing. From the very beginning, Democrats start talking about the government shutdown boogeyman, and that's their get out of jail free card for actually negotiating with Republicans. So long before any deadlines have passed, before any budgets, they already start walking out this government shutdown boogeyman that they're going to blame the Republicans for. And that's why we can't work with them. We can't work with them because we can't have the government shut down. And so they just use it every chance they get. And this is what she's done with the question. She sucked up. So when that bill was signed, the way a veto works is you have 90 days from that day to get the signatures. So these signature gathering efforts are massive undertakings. I've been involved in several of them. They generally take a year's time. Generally, you need a couple election dates, maybe even to build up a big amount. Like if you have a November election, you can go sit at the polls and do really well that day. So these vetoes are a 90-day, which is a very short turnaround. Now, what's happened here is this one wasn't filed until 5 days after, because it was signed into law on a Thursday. So then you had the weekend. So then by the time they got back and filed it, they'd lost 5 days. Then the Secretary of State has an additional 10 days to come back with the question. So she comes back.
Typical kicking down, canning down the road.
Exactly. So she comes back 10 days later with this question, a question question that's just ridiculous, you know. And so she burned up 15 of the 90 days. So it's incredibly difficult to collect the signatures even in 90 days or even longer. But with her sucking up that much time from the veto effort, I don't know if I see a path forward.
Indeed. Pretty sad, folks. On another topic, though, as well, Maine citizens and fellow Americans, it looks like Governor Mills and her administration, maybe even she's pocketing some of this ill-gotten gain funds herself. What am I talking about? Well, it looks like she's been quite busy illegally accepting financial bribes, we'll call it, from the Bangor Daily News. Oh yeah? I've got proof. It's called the Maine Wire. They stay on top of this information all the time with the governor's office. This is dated, the Maine Wire. You can go to themainewire.com, ladies and gentlemen, and put a slash after it, /2025 /04 /Bangor-newspaper-company. But we'll put the link up there as well. Bangor Newspaper Company has received more than $2.4 million from Mills administration for public affairs, quote unquote. The Bangor Publishing Company, as it's known, and also has both the Bangor Daily News and a lesser-known marketing agency, has received more than $2.4 million from state agencies since Governor Mills took office in 2019. And where's this? According to a review of contracts filed with the Maine Procurement Office. Gee. Is it that slow at getting bills passed and running the government and keeping the people safe, Janet? The payments to Bangor Publishing Company are not regularly disclosed by the company newspaper, but are available publicly by the state's vendor payment disclosures and its procurement record websites. State financial records showed that payments made to either Bangor Publishing, Pulse Marketing, or Pulse Marketing LLC began almost immediately after Mills entered office and totaled more than $2.4 million as of fiscal year 2024. We're not going to read the whole article, but we will make sure that you have the link so that you can, folks. The Wire's review of the contract sheds new light on the murky and ethically questionable dynamics that arise when a newspaper company is simultaneously reporting on state government and profiting from lucrative contracts with state agencies. The contract documents also raise questions, folks, about whether Bangor Publishing's marketing firm received preferential status while bidding on government contracts because of its partnership with the nominally independent newspaper operation, BDN. But a search of the procurement archives at Maine state government did not reveal any payments to Bangor Daily's parent company during the years when Governor Paul LePage was in office. Likewise, the vendor payment records for those fiscal years don't show any payments to the newspaper company. The flow of taxpayer money to the Pulse Marketing appears to have begun almost immediately after Mills took office, and at first, the flow of the taxpayer money to the media company began small. Intentional. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter, does it, folks? But here comes the end of our part of this article. See, at first, procurement records showed in March of 2019 that the company accepted $3,300 just for a logo redesign from a state agency. In 2025, the Mills administration has already handed the Bangor Daily News' marketing firm 3 contracts worth, hold on to your seats and hold on to your cookies, folks, $406,000 plus $46,000, $101,000 via the Maine Department of Labor and $38,000+ in a marketing agreement via the Maine Department of Health and Human Services. Just a few months ago, folks. Here's the one, if not entire reason, that Janet Mills needs to be prosecuted and thrown in prison. Period. November 2024, Maine's Bureau of Information Services inked a massive $711,449 deal with Pulse Marketing tied to a government-sponsored public affairs campaign. And of course, we already know back on March 31st, State Auditor Matt Dunlap, a Democrat appointed to his position by lawmakers in the Democratic Party, released a blistering audit, found significant deficiencies and material weaknesses in how Mills' administration was handing out no-bid contracts. But you see, as newsworthy as the audit and subsequent calls for an investigation were, Pulse Marketing news arm avoided writing about Dunlap's audit and its findings, except that it's for reprinting a single Maine public story that essentially said the audit was pretty much nothing to see here. But now, it appears that Pulse may have been among the beneficiaries of Mills' administration's slipshod approach, writes the Maine Wire, to handing out government money, including federal dollars linked to COVID-19. I could go on and on with this, folks, but you know what? It's pretty sad is what it is. You can't tell me where she belongs. If you deny it and you're a voter in the Democratic Party, wow. They've always been the evil, folks. They've always been the evil. That's why they're up here right next to her face. Don't like it? Do something about it. The Declaration of Independence has always said it, folks, and we always keep repeating it. You better get used to it. In the meantime, let's hear your thoughts and views on this deceitful, corrupt, and detestable political party led by the ultimate queen of denial, Janet Mills. Rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, as you see. And at the bottom, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. Stay tuned. We have over 325 podcasts on Rumble. And you can also find us on YouTube and Twitter every single day of the week. Everyone out there, take care. Pray for law and order and justice to prevail. Peace to everyone.